Hello guys, so in this video, I'm going to interview a student who recently passed his FE exam, but before we get to that, I just want to let you know that the courses are still on sale and they're going to expire today. So if you're trying to pass your FE exam or if you are interested in the courses, make sure that you guys grab them before the sale expires. And I hope you guys enjoy this interview.
Once I knew the result, I said to myself, I cannot do it again. If I was overwhelmed, I did my best to pass the exam. I think that maybe this FE is not for me. I don't know. I think that I just gonna be like a CAC technician because that's what I do here. Most of my work is designing roadways. So I said, no, basically my destiny is just to be a CAD technician.
Bonjour guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to interview Hector, which he recently passed the new FE exam after failing it 3 times. So in this video, he's going to share with us his FE experience and what he did to pass his FE exam. Hector, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's great, it's my pleasure. Okay, so the first time we talked, wasn't it like, I believe 2 months ago, we had a phone call. So you're enrolled in the course, but then I feel like you weren't sure about like how to study. You felt a little overwhelmed. You reach out, we had a quick call, and then we talked about the plan, how to study. And that's the first time we actually had like a phone call and we talked about it. And then I believe 2 months later, you passed your FE exam. Is that correct?
Is that correct? Yes, I enrolled your course in July, but then I have a knee surgery, and then I was overwhelmed because I didn't know if I have in 2 months I would be prepared to pass the exam. That's when I reached to you.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll dive in more into that in terms of like what your schedule like and all that. But before we get to that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like when did you graduate and what was your major?
Perfect. I graduated in FIU, Florida International University here in Miami. I graduated in December 19, so almost a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a decent student. I wasn't the best, but I kept my GPA on 3
Okay. That's great. And why did you decide to take the FE?
because see, I'm a civil engineer now. My job required. So since I was an intern, I have many internships. So since my day one, all the companies that I worked so far, they asked me for it.
I
And once
see.
I graduated, it was more the pressure.
Okay. So you had to kind of take it for your job, right? For your current job right now.
Yes,
And
yes.
did they kind of put any pressure on you to pass it? Was there a deadline when you're supposed to have it?
There wasn't a deadline, and the pressure wasn't direct on me. Basically, was more like when you're gonna take it. If you want to keep moving forward, this is a milestone that you have to achieve. So that kind of pressure, but never was like until this day. If not, you won't continue. It wasn't like that.
I see. Okay, that's great. Because having that pressure, it really like it stresses out a lot of students, and it's a good thing that
Yes,
you didn't really have that. But you still wanted to pass your FE exam
yeah,
to excel in your career. Yeah.
that's correct.
Okay. All right. Now let's jumping into scheduling. How many months before the FE exam did you begin studying?
So right after I failed my third time, that was around June, because I wanted to try to avoid taking the new version of the exam, because I was afraid of geotech, water, fluid. That now in this exam we have more questions. So right after I failed it, I registered for my fourth time on July, and then right after to your course. But then my company, they put me to do some courses that I needed for work, some certifications, and then I have like a knee surgery. So I didn't study on July, and I started studying on August, and so it's actually 2 months that I study.
Okay. Wow, that's really good. So, because usually on average, most of my students, they would study 3 months. between 3 to 6 months and they would pass their FE exam. But you only spent like 2 months and you were able to pass it, which is awesome. And but I want to go back to a little bit of the June month. So because you took the exam on June, you
Yes.
failed the exam, you registered, and then you took like a month off because you had to take some courses for work, and then you studied for 2 months and then you passed. Tell us a little bit about your third time when you took it on June. How many times or how many months did you study before that one, and what resources did you use for that one?
Perfect. On that one, was the one that I studied the most, but it was overwhelming. Like I studied a lot of stuff that basically, the resources that I used was very old, wasn't updated.
Mm.
So basically, I overwhelmed myself in only 1 month because that's what I studied 1 month. I was close when I saw the result to pass it. I feel like we never have the results, like how many questions we needed to pass, but I feel like from with 1 and 2 questions that I had right, I could pass that one. But like I said before, it was overwhelming. I wake up every day from 3:30, then after work. It was, though, that month was crazy.
Okay, so you only spent 1 month studying for that
Yes,
exam,
for that one.
but it was like intense 1 month. Like,
Intense.
did you like after the exam were you like burn out? Like
Yes,
I don't
I
want to
need.
study for this test again.
Yes, after that, I was once I knew the result, I said to myself, I cannot do it again. If I was overwhelmed, I did my best to pass the exam. I think that maybe this FE is not for me. I don't know. I think that I just gonna be like a CAD technician because that's what I do here. Most of my work is designing roadways. So I said, no, basically my destiny is just to be a CAD technician.
Yeah. No, I'm really glad you brought that up because a lot of my students could totally relate to that. So before a lot of my students they would enroll in the course, they would study
Yes,
crazy hours because people really believe that they need to study for so many hours and study so many materials to be able to pass this
yes,
exam. And the actual like the best schedule to do is really just study a few hours every day and just stay consistent with your studying.
yes,
Try to do it for 2 or 3 months and don't try to cram it all at once in like 1 month. And I
yeah,
actually interviewed Fred and he was talking about that as well, where he enrolled in the PPI course and he was studying for 30 to 40 hours a week. And after 3 months, he was just burned out. Like he didn't want to study anymore. And Julie felt the same way. He just very
yes,
overwhelming, and I think it's really important for you guys like who's still trying to study and pass the FE exam. Don't put yourself in that situation, like because when you burn out and you feel so overwhelmed, you're gonna have this feeling of like I don't want to do this anymore, and you're gonna
yes,
want to give up, and you don't want to put yourself in that situation. The exam, this like you got to think of it as this is like a marathon and not a sprint, right? And
yes,
you got to just like let your brain process the information and just study slowly, and eventually you will get there, but you have to be patient with yourself. So I'm really like glad that you brought that up because a lot of students could totally relate to that, you know.
yes.
um,
That's correct.
yeah, so on average how many hours did you study per week for your last attempt?
Okay, my schedule once the day was getting close, it was changing. Was more intense. I was like I start like my 70% of my capacity, then I like to the 95, the almost 3 weeks before the exam,
Okay.
and then after like what was 10 days before my exam, I definitely I was like 30% of my capacity just reviewing. So when I was on like 70%, it was about like 1 month some weeks. uh, what I did is early. I heard your do it in the morning because when we are fresh, and it really helped me because I hadn't like once I wake up, I had the motivation to do it. Okay, it's a new day. Let's start it. 1 2 problem a day, or a topic. If we were talking about trusses, or if we were talking about Bernoulli, okay, let's get over Bernoulli. So I had that like a short goals per day on those, and I studied from 5 to 8 before just before work. So
Hmm.
and then I clock in at work like at 8:30. So basically, on those 3 hours, I just or 2.5 hours, I spent like had that mini goal, like okay, I have to watch these two videos because those two videos are my weakness, or this topic is the ones that I have to just move it on. Then once I moved to the 95% stage, what I did is like I rush a little bit more myself. I start studying from 5 to 7:30, clock in at 7:45 to work, then work until like 4:45, and then like a review at 9. What I did on the morning, and maybe like a like reading was gonna be my next morning. Like okay, I had a heads up. Like okay, next morning I'm gonna have um, this topic in mechanic of material. Okay, I have to review this. So in the morning, I have to be 100% straight to the problem. I cannot waste time just reviewing those problems are about.
I see. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. And so that was for the last attempt. Now, for the one on June, how many hours did you study? Because already this sounds like, well, I guess only the 3 weeks when you did the 95% capacity,
Yes.
I guess that was a little bit intense. The
Mm-hmm.
beginning, studying in the morning, I really like that. I'm a morning person. And then,
Yes.
like if you're trying to learn something hard, I think doing it in the morning, just your brain processes it much better than doing it at the end of
Yes.
the day. But some people, they prefer the afternoon or at night, and that's okay as well. So for the one on June, the one that you took on June, how many hours did you study?
It was like from 4:30 to 8 at home. Then I jumped to work. Then I stayed until 9. And then I went home like at 9:30. Then it repeated and repeated for 4 weeks, and even 2 days before the exam. So by the time that I had the exam, I didn't want to see any more problems. So
Yeah,
I was burning.
yeah, that's a lot. And did you work from home or did you had to still go to work physically to the office?
Uh, During pandemic, I mm, the environment is like we where my team is just a few people, is less than 10
Okay,
person 10 people. So basically what we I saw like a controlled environment, so I came to work.
I see. Okay.
Okay, to the office. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. So how did you recharge? So on your last attempt, did you do anything to take a break from studying?
Basically, I never stopped working, so it was to recharge. But what I did is I just focused on different topics outside of the field. I tried to change my mood. I say, okay, let's take a break on the field. Let's focus on the courses that like my company put me on. So I say, let's motivate myself by passing those two courses. Was two certification. I say, okay, let's have those exams passed. So then it will help me to like say, okay, I passed these two, and then for the fourth one, I will be motivated to pass my FE, and it
Yeah,
helped me a lot.
that's great. I really like that. A lot of times I tell this to my students, like if you fail the FE exam and you're losing motivation, think about the time where you overcome like a challenge or something that you passed or something that you succeeded on. Just the fact that we graduated and we got an engineering degree, I mean, that is huge. So think about that, right, for a second, and remember how it felt to get your diploma, or how it felt to get an A in that class that was very challenging, or to get an A on like an exam. I remember my one of the exams in steel, it was so hard, and I got A on it, and it was so awesome, and I felt so happy, and it was just like amazing, right? So when you're feeling down, remind yourself of those accomplishments, because that's what's going to help you to keep you motivated. Because if you've done it in the past, if you've succeeded in your past, you can do it again, right? So I really like that, how you went and you're like, okay, let me pass these tests, and these tests, if I pass them, they're going to motivate me to pass. Like, it's brilliant. I love it. That's great.
Yes,
Awesome. Congratulations. So you got like
thank
three,
you.
you passed on like three things this month. Like,
Yes, I was on fire. This break was on fire.
yeah,
Yes,
that's
definitely.
awesome. Great. Okay. Now let's talk about preparation. So Uh, Tell us a little bit about the material that you used.
Perfect. Um, for the morning session, I definitely use your courses, and after I saw your I used your courses and the NCES exam, the new one,
Mm.
right? So what I did is once you talk about something that I saw it on the once I was reading it, the NCS, when once you say something that was on the exam, I really took notes. I had my cheat sheet, so I say, okay, the Kansas say this is the approach of these kind of problems. So I was like guiding myself with the NCES, because something that I learned with this experience is that most of the books that are outside of for everyone for on Amazon sometimes are harder, and sometimes it's just discourage anyone, like say, okay, this exam is gonna be so hard. So what I try to do is focus on your courses, and in the morning section on the NCS try to like think, okay, what would be the difference this question can be asked during the exam. Then that's what I said. That's why I felt so confident for the morning one, for the morning section. Then when I jumped to the afternoon, I saw your YouTube and some link that you recommend me to watch. So what I try to focus is, okay, for example, on environmental is more units. It's not something that you're gonna see on the exam, on the reference book. It's more units. So I memorize I took notes and I say, okay, for example, I need to know where are gallons on the unit section of the handbook. So I have to go quick. So, okay, gallons, it will be on the last row. Okay, in the first row at the last, on the bottom. So I was like sharp on that sense. Then also I took note of the ones or the units that could be asked, but they are not on the handbook. Like for example, acres, that you have to be aware that if you want to convert feet square to acres is there. It's not on the unit. So I took note on those. So that's how I prepare myself for construction and for surveying. Then what I did, for example, in geotech, is I saw your video, so I focus on the topics that I know. The that on I focus on the topic that I know, and I had like an idea. I for the ones that I didn't know, for example, retaining walls. What I did, I used this step. I saw that problem and say, okay, this is something that I didn't see in the school. But if I had this problem, I'm gonna try the steps. Okay, first you have to find this. The area has to be measured from here. So I had like my guide on the ones that I felt that was hard. For the ones that I know that are those topics I can do it. Basically, I watch your videos for techniques, and then I just try to do some exercise that friends just gave me.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so
Yes.
we're going to take a step back here a little bit and just kind of discuss the materials. So when you took the NCS practice exam, did you take it as you took it as a practice exam, right? You didn't try to study off of it.
No, when I said the practice one, I had the practice one,
Okay.
and I some of the problem, I did it first the practice just with the to test myself to see
Okay.
how off I was. Then for the ones that I didn't know, or for the ones that I knew, I basically try to match with your course, like for the first part of the exam. So okay, how this question can be asked in different ways. What would be the other ways to be asked this
Wow.
question?
That's great. Okay, that's awesome. So another thing is you mentioned the unit. So you try to remember the unit conversions and stuff. And I really like that. Actually, Pranita did the same thing and she created a cheat sheet just for units and she shared it with me and she wanted me to share it with you guys. So it is on the course. Were you able to just check it and look at it? Did you use it at all?
No, I did my own because I wanted just to try and narrow which one are the ones that I really, the ones that I really gonna use, or the ones that for by experience, I knew it on the reference manual.
Yeah, that's smart. So a lot of times, like students would email me like, "Hey, can I get the cheat sheets?" And I feel like like the cheat sheets, you really have to create it on your own, because some of
Yes.
the stuff that I might add in that cheat sheet, you probably already know it, and some of the stuff might not be there and you actually need it. So I usually recommend a lot of my students to create your own cheat sheet as you go.
Yes, because if you saw something that you never knew, you never know that if you say something new, you're gonna be stressed. You say, how am I gonna use this? So then you're gonna be just focusing on. You're gonna spend a day or 2 days saying, okay, this conversion, I need a problem to. I need to find out a problem that say that I'm gonna use this part of the cheat sheet. So I just prefer to create my own.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, and I really like how you were taking like steps, exactly like how to solve a problem and just taking steps. I
Yes,
think that one is super useful. And in the week or two, a couple days before your exam, going over those steps, it's
yes, it helped me,
a great review.
and I did it for most of the question that I felt that was hard. The ones that I took more than one step to solve it.
Awesome. That's great. Okay. Okay. And did you feel your undergrad classes prepared you well for the FE exam?
To be honest, no.
Okay.
Why? Because since my day one at the school, what I did is focus myself to get experience outside. So I was on the. I could be like the GPA doesn't reflect what my knowledge are. That's something that I always say to the ones that to my colleague that saw my GPA say, why you get that so low? What I say is that I had 40 internships before on my I just focused to have experience aside in the transportation area. So that's why I always focus. I never pay attention that much to the classes, just to homeworks, barely do well on the exams. So that was a mistake
I
that I
see.
had.
Okay. Yeah, let's just hope your professors are not going to listen to this.
Hopefully.
Okay.
I won't share the link.
Okay. Okay. And did you feel like the FE Bytes course prepared you well for the FE?
Definitely yes.
Okay.
Some they could, like I said before, like if I don't pay attention, I didn't pay attention to the class. I just refresh my knowledge. Sometimes I skip classes, something that I regret because of work, because I have like two different jobs, stuff like. So the morning course that you have basically reinforce the knowledge that I knew, and I learned as I was going through for the ones that I didn't like pay attention.
Yeah.
And for example, we in my on my at my university we don't have material science. So always in my previous attempts, uh, materials science was a guess for me. I didn't know well, I
Oh,
didn't know that much of the ductile material. So when once I saw it on your course, it was new for me everything. I mean, we have material mechanical material, and we knew a little bit of the yielding point, but for the most specific ones, the different methods, the tests, so we didn't review it at the school.
wow. And that's a hard topic. Not a hard topic. Like, I guess it can be tricky because there are a lot of concepts in it, right?
Definitely,
There's
yes,
not a lot of equations you could use. There's a lot of graphs and just like, trying to read off of graphs, getting values
yes,
to be able to like, figure out like the answer. There's also a lot of concepts that you should kind of know. So that's really interesting that you didn't take that class, and it probably was challenging because like
yes,
all these concepts and stuff. And yeah, that's great. Yeah, you
yes.
were
It
able
helped me a lot.
to
Yeah,
pass.
it helped me a lot, and I had on my actual feed the last one. I had one of the graph, so I could solve it
Great.
because yes, yes.
You're
I
like,
had
I got this.
I didn't know if I had the right question, but I had one of the multiple choice, and I double check. I was still getting the same, so I was confident.
Awesome. That's great. Okay. Now let's discuss some of your study techniques. Are there any study habits that you found to not to be effective?
Like we were discussing previously, um, it's not because you do 10 problems a day you're gonna be ready for that topic. It's better just to understand, and like I said before, try to have one question and be ready if for example they ask you to calculate something try to see, okay, this is the question that I'm using. Try to see if they don't give you this variable. If they give you, instead of for fluid flow, if they give you just velocity and an area. What if I try to just to play with that as I was moving forward? I think that that's more effective than just try to do 100 problems or 10 problems a day and try to memorize them.
Okay, these are a lot of great stuff you're sharing with us today. Like, so the first thing you mentioned is like almost like quality versus quantity, right? I always tell you
Yes.
guys like focus on, it like it doesn't matter if you go over 100 and 200 questions. Like if you go over 50 or like 10 questions and you understand statics by the end of those 10 questions, that is more important
Yes.
than doing 200 questions and not understanding any of it, right? So
That's
that
correct.
one, yeah, that was really like important one. And my favorite part is you making connections. I love that. Like
Yes.
you actually like you solving problems, but it's not about just getting the answer. It's not about just solving the problem. Once you solve the problem, you got to take a second and really take a look at the process, take a look at the question one more time, see what variables they give you, see why such an equation was used, ask all
Yes.
these questions, because that's how you're reinforcing the concept. And then as you do that for every problem, you're going to start making connections, and then you're just going to have a lot of, whoa, I get it now. Like a lot of things will just start clicking. Is that how you felt like when you did this approach?
Yes, yes, because most of the questions that I saw, or as I had as experience is, for example, in your equation you need flow, but they don't give you flow. They give you, no, you need velocity, but they give you the flow in gallons. So then you have to convert it to feet cube, and then they give you the height of the tank. So then you have to divide it. So it's better just to have connections, say, and try to fill the problem to say, okay, what is the different wordings? For example, for me, I'm from Venezuela, so that my English is my second language. So I have to be very careful on all the words that are on each problem. So I say, okay, this means this. So so that's something that helped me a lot, just to try quality problems instead of quantity.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, like making connections is very important. Yeah, and
Yes.
your approach is really good. I really like it. Yeah. Okay. Did you make any changes to your study habits or materials between the times you failed the FE exam and the time you passed?
Yes, yes, a lot. Yes, like I said before, just step by step, a day by a day, not rushing. No, when I saw your course, I say, why you don't have all the course? Why you only have? And then I step back. I say, okay, if I have over the 55 question at the beginning, if I had 50, I'm just kind of close to pass the exam. Why gonna focus on the ones that are super hard? Let's just concentrate and get, for example, economy. That's something that I had, that I was good on the economy, with for future, present. I was good, but then when it was breakable point, taxes, those are new topics, and say, okay, let's just focus. Let's be 100% aware when I have a question, what were they asking me? So that's something that I changed. Like, okay, today we're gonna do transportation, and then steel design. I always start for the hardest one. Say, why we don't start for math? That's something that as engineering we should have, not fresh, but we should be good. So your course helped me to go step by step, topic by topic, and then I just accumulate everything for the end.
Yeah, and I remember we had that conversation where
Yeah.
I was like, Hector, let's just start from the beginning. You're going to start from math. You're going to go to statistics and polity. And if you
Yeah.
stuck in statistics polity, don't skip it. Ask me questions. Make sure you finish
Yes.
it before you move on to ethics,
Exactly.
engineering, econ, and stuff. And I think it's really important. First, it's important to start math because it's easy topic, and a lot of us we understand it because we already went to engineering school. And then once you get it, it boosts your confidence. You go, okay, I got this.
Yes.
This is easy. And then, you're just starting to warm up. Like instead of starting with transportation, like that's like one of the hardest topics in there, or structural engineering,
Yes.
like your brain is just going to like go,
Explode.
like you can't start with that. You have to start easy and you have to start slow. And once you have that momentum, then you can challenge yourself and, start studying the hard problems. And then also another thing we talked about is make sure that you finish the topic before you move on, and that one is really important. And
Yes.
once you finish, like let's say math, stop for a second and celebrate that, right? Because when you celebrate that, like you go, okay, great, I got this, I finished math, I can move on to the next one. That actually motivates you, and that's what keeps you going and helps you stay consistent with your studying. But if you finish math and you look at it in a negative way and you go like, well, I just finished math, I still have 12 topics to go. Going with that mindset, like you're going to burn out real fast.
Yeah.
So it's really important to kind of trick your brain to stay positive, and anything you accomplish and achieve, you have to celebrate that, because that's what's going to help you to keep going. And I really
Yeah.
like how you were kind of focused, just take it one day at a time, one problem at a time. And I think that's really awesome.
Yes, no, definitely. Once you pass, once you review the whole math, then you're gonna say, because math is the longest one, and you start for that one. So once you pass all the math review, so then you will feel okay. All the from here up to the end, it will be short. It will be less material. That doesn't mean that will be easy, but just the material at least will be less.
That's true.
So another thing that I have is, as a personal experience, is the only class that I failed was statistics. I had to take it twice. So I always began with a really hard professor. So I never liked statistics. It was something that I hated so much. So once I reviewed with you the statistic, I knew the C values, the graph, I understood everything. I felt more confident, because that was for me then the longest one, then the one that I hate. So once I passed those two, for me was the rest, and I understood everything. Like I felt super confident. The rest was not easy, but it was doable.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Was there anything specific that you did that helped you stay motivated while studying for the FE exam? I mean, you kind of talked a little bit about this, how like you had two other exams that you were doing for work,
Yes.
you the certificate, and you passing those kind of helped you to keep going. Is there anything else that helped you stay
Yes,
motivated?
I use one of your advice, that don't compete with the colleagues, just focus on yourself. So that helped me a lot. So I saw once a friend or a colleague say, okay, I passed my FE, that make me more motivation instead of more pressure. Like once one I heard that someone during those 2 months that I was studying, that a friend or a colleague passed, I say, okay, now it's my turn. I'm gonna be on that side with them too. So that keep me on track, instead of say, okay, I have to review this really quick because I have to pass 100%. So I release pressure on that, like a saying, like congratulate everyone. I mean, it's not like I was mean before, like I say, oh no congratulations, but inside of me say, okay, it's okay that everyone passed, it's normal. Let's be on the other side. Let's just congratulate them. Let's just try to follow on. If it wasn't the fourth one, it would be the fifth one, but my time will come soon.
Wow. Hector, like right now I am like so proud of you for doing, because
Yes,
it
that's
does take
something that I
a
learned.
lot of work. It's not easy to just
Yes.
like switch your mind and just be like, okay, I gotta, be super happy for other people passing, and then it's okay for me keep failing, right? I mean, to go from that to, like truly believe and be happy for other people passing and take that as a
Yes.
motivation to keep you going, that's like amazing. You've done
It
amazing.
wasn't that easy. It took me 3 fails on the field because of the pressure that I had.
Yeah.
So it was not easy to assimilate, but then I understood. I said, okay, it's okay to fail. It's with me the battle. It's not with everyone. It's everyone. Just congratulate them and ask for techniques. Once I just ask for technique and congratulate. And you never know. Sometimes they share some book to do. So it was really good. I really love that advice. So I keep it in. I keep it for me, and now I'm sharing for everyone too.
Yeah, that's great. That's really awesome. I think that's really important, like not to compete or like compare ourselves to others. Like everybody has a different journey and everybody learns differently. Everybody processes information differently. So it's hard for us to compare ourselves to other people because we don't know what they've done. We don't even know what kind of questions they got. They might have just gotten easy questions or harder questions, doesn't matter. But like, like everybody has a different journey, and comparing yourself to others, it doesn't help you in any way. It just really hurts you, really.
Yes.
So, I think it's really important to just kind of take a step back and just be like, okay, this is my journey. I'm really happy for everyone who are passing. I'll take some study tips. I'm open to hear how you guys pass,
Yeah.
but then just focus on your journey and focus on yourself and compare yourself to yesterday. That's better one, right?
Yes.
Am I moving forward? Am I stuck? And figure out why you're stuck if you're stuck. So that's better than comparing yourself to other people. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. That's really
No,
amazing. Okay.
no.
Now let's explore the day before you took the FE exam. Were you feeling ready or were you stressed?
No, I think for this exam, you're never gonna feel ready because it's a lot of content, it's a lot of pressure. Once I say that the battle is with me, I always have that little bit of negativity. Say, okay, Hector, why? Please don't take it like a fifth time. Try to do your best. So what I try to do is just reviewing. I didn't review that day, the day before, but I felt confident. I think that's the word, confident. So that with that confidence, it helped me to reduce from 95 that I said at the beginning to reduce it to 30. Just reviewing, just waking up a little bit early, but it's like instead of 5 to 5:36, and then have a little bit more time to sleep. And that day, what I did is just stay home. I changed my mattress. I changed everything, so I was relaxed. So that's something that I did on my day before.
That's great. So just like I just got like this really like interesting like picture of like how this whole
Hmm.
your study schedule went. So the first couple weeks you were at 70%. Then
Yes,
then 3 weeks you increased it to 95%. And that's really interesting, the 70%, because you were just gaining momentum. Once you got that momentum,
yes,
then you increased it to 95%, which puts you in the hard topics. That's when you were studying the afternoon hard
yes.
topics.
Actually, more to the last topics of your course, fluids and materials,
Okay.
because those are long. Uh, but what my momentum was, okay, let's focus on this one because you're gonna use it for environmental and from water, materials like you said before, structure. So I had those momentum to continue. And if I felt ready, I just open a book and saw a environmental problem or a water problem, and I related with the fluid one and say, okay, this is something that I knew before. I had it. So I was like matching. So that was my 95%. And like you said before, I had a momentum with the 70. I was passing the ones that I didn't want it to at the beginning. So I had that motivation. So it helped me a lot.
Okay, great. And so in that 95%, it helped you gain confidence as well. That's when you had your confidence
Yes.
going up.
Yes.
And then once you gained that confidence, which is really important for the exam, you were like, okay, now I could go back to 30%. So I don't feel
Yes.
burnout during the exam. And then the day before the test, you were like, I'm just going to chill and relax
Yes.
and get ready for my
I
exam.
watch.
I really
I,
like it. That's a great
yes.
schedule. Like, awesome.
Yeah. No, like I was saying, it's something that I wanted to try to do different because an advice that I had from my boss was you need time for review because you won't remember after you pass everything, you won't remember what is tangent, how to calculate, what is the formula for the circle. So you need time to review, trying to say, oh, now I know again where it was on the manual. um, uh, those days is hard because if you do something wrong, then you say, oh, I'm not ready. But my advice is, the stuff, you already went to the 95%. It's just try to review, don't focus, don't stress. It's hard, it's not easy because it's a lot of pressure that sometimes this exam is. I think that this exam is more about pressure and knowing where to find the material than rather to know, because like you said before, we all graduate, we all know a little bit of engineering, a little bit or a lot. So like I said, you just try to just focus on your goal that you will pass and you will pass.
Yeah. That's awesome. You brought up like really good points, and I actually have a student right now who is studying for his FE exam, and his test is in I would say couple days. Like I think it's next week, and he was trying to review the beginning material that he covered,
Hmm.
and he's stressing out and he's freaking out because he's stressing out that because he forgot some of that material. And I'm actually going to have a conversation with him tomorrow. And this is great that we're talking about this right now, because like the best thing to do is kind of just like, you got this. Like, just because you forgot one problem or two problems, don't let that stress you out for the whole thing. You remember this stuff, this
Yes.
stuff. Just walk yourself through the problem and just move on to the next one, right? And then
Yes.
the day before, 2 days before the exam, maybe go over and review it. But stressing yourself out, that would just like hurt you more than anything. And yeah.
Just yes, just save the stress for the day of the exam because it's super stress that day. But my recommendation is, if everyone is taking your classes, is solve the problem once you by yourself, take notes on how to find it, and once you finish all your material, is just highlight the problems that are hard, like keep like those are hard. And once you are under your 30%, just review those, because the other ones you did it, you might know. um, if you are talking about trusted in 3 4 videos, don't watch all of them, just watch the ones that are complex or easy. It's up to you, but it's not that you have to review everything, just key points.
Yeah, I like that. A lot of my students would, so what they would do is that they would study for the morning session using my course, and then they would study the afternoon, and in between they would take a practice exam, and once they finish the afternoon, they would take another practice exam, and then they would leave about 3 weeks or 4 weeks of just reviewing the whole course. Like some
Yeah.
students, like they watch my course 2 to 3 times. But sometimes students don't have that kind of time, right? So I really
Yes.
like your method. Like now I'm going to start using these tips and share it with my students. When you're doing the problems, the ones you're getting right, great, just keep going. The ones you got wrong, highlight it. And then, when you're
Yes.
reviewing during that 30% capacity, go over the ones that you got wrong and just go over them one more time, rather than trying to go over the whole course, especially if they don't have enough time. So I really like that. So thank you for sharing that with us.
No
And
worries.
in terms of the schedule, like for you, I'm not sure if you planned it that way to go like 70%, 95%, 30%. Not sure if you planned it that way, or if you was just like trial and error, or if you just kind of worked out that way. And I think a lot of these things, like the schedule, like it's just something you have to try, and you gotta just go with the flow and see where it takes you. And if you feel like you want to increase the time, go for it. If you feel like you're about to burn out, you want to decrease the time, go for it. So you just like kind of trial and error, right? Would you agree with that?
Yes, I'm agree with the try and error, but I think uh, I used to be a soccer player, so I say like I wanted to see it now. I say, okay, my first time I was confident with what other people say that was easy, so that was my mistake. I learned from my mistakes. I said, okay. The second time was my last semester at the school, and I was busy. I was taking 5 classes, full time position, so I did horrible that one. Then the third one, like I said before, is I didn't have time with just 1 month. So I say I have to do something different. Unless I used to be a soccer player, let's prepare with time. Let's start slowly, then intense, and then reduce it to review. That's something that I wanted to try, and I think that it could be a good idea for, like you said before, it's depending of the schedule, because each head is different world, but that's one of my recommendations. It helped me a lot, and you have time to review. And for the review time is key, not to be stressed. That's something that I wanted to highlight. If the review time is for you, if the review time is just for you, and like be more and more confident. If you are stressed, is just putting rocks on your feet.
Yeah, I like that. That's great. Okay, now let's dive into the day of the exam. How were you feeling during the exam? Were you calm?
It was a lot of emotion that day. I was calm. Once the exam started, I had the math and the probability. I saw that was cake. I say, okay, I know this, and I was a lot of motivation. Then once I jumped to like economics, it was okay. I know because in the economics was a lot of theory questions. So I was like 50-50 on those questions, but then on the problems one, I was confident. Then on the ethics was I reviewed with you the ethics one plus the link that you had. So I was confident on those. But when we went to do the mechanical material and the fluid one, I felt that was difficult. Those ones. It took me time. I had to flag most of them. So I keep moving to finish a section. Now, for the morning section for this exam is survey is part of the, I wasn't expecting that. And survey is on the morning one. I say, oh, okay, here we go. Let's see how we solve it. So I solved those, was like, again, like 50 on those. But then I had a lot of time. I solved everything I solved everything in, I don't know, in 1 hour and 40 minutes or 45 minutes. And I have like 20 minutes because I divide the time in two, and I wanted to add a little bit more for the afternoon. So once I saw that I had like 20 minutes to review, I went back to the fluid ones, tried to check, try to guess on some on the theory one, because it was a lot of theory. So the theory ones was the one that, okay, if it's this, not this one, let's go try this one. And then the materials one, materials and mechanical materials.
So how many questions did you have to guess?
I guess the most part that I guess was the second part. I had I had the time to like sit back and count how many theory I had. So I calculate like in between the theory ones, the ones that you have to match with the columns. I had on geotech, I had a mix that I had to order a mix, inserting, grab the tab and put it in order, fill the blanks. In between those diagrams. So in all of those that are not straight to problem, I had out of 52, I have 28 questions. So it was a lot of those.
That's a lot.
So I was once again, yes, it was for the geotech one. But like I said before, I was motivated since the beginning because I focus on for example, geotech on the ones those I don't know how you call, but the ones that are for a specific way, the volumes. I knew those, so I had 2 questions of those, and I had on my head to say, all right, I'm guessing 1, 2 on geotech, but the other ones I did. It's not that I'm gonna fail geotech. Is some of them I had to guess, but yeah, 28 questions.
Wow. Okay. Now, did you have a guessing strategy? So some of them obviously you did an educated guess, and then so for the ones where you couldn't do an educated guess, how did you put an answer?
Okay, for the theory one, I mean, it's a lot of for the theory ones. What I try to do is most of the time let's say if you know a little bit of the topic, because something that you don't know, all of the questions will be crazy for anyone. But if you know a little bit of the topic, you definitely going straight to say, okay, this one for sure is not.
Mm-hmm.
Then I try to match. I try always to go to 2. Always try to go to 2. So I always try to find for the third that it could be like that it could be the wrong one.
Mm.
I try to go for that one, take it out, even though it could be the good one. But I try to have that one. And then okay, in between these 2, I have to play because, like I said, I could know a little bit of the topic. For the ones that are completely new, I had to guess.
Yeah.
I had to guess.
It's funny. You were doing a lot of like mental analysis. Like this is the one they could trick us with. Could be a good one, but I'm still going to eliminate it. Let's take a look at the other.
What I did is flag. My technique was flag. Go straight to the ones that I knew how to solve. The ones that I say, okay, those are problems that I can find on the handbook. Those are unit problems that I can like defend myself. Then I flag, and then, like I said before, I had a time to review, and I count them. I say, okay, 1, 2, 3. So there were 20 on those. In that review is when I say, for example, there was one for the mixture with the geotech. That's something that I wasn't prepared. I didn't know. I put the ones that, okay, by obvious, you first grab the stuff, but it was and I don't know how they evaluate that one. I don't know if you out of the 3 order, if you have one wrong, I don't know if it's all of them are wrong. I don't know how they evaluate that one. If it has to be completely correct.
Yeah.
But like I said, I try to take out the ones that I knew that are completely wrong.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot of conceptual questions. So, how are you
Yeah.
feeling after when you finished the exam? Did you feel confident?
If you ask me that day, I think that I mean, what I say on the colleagues the next day when I went to work is I don't know, but something inside of me I say you did a great job. You
Oh.
don't worry about the 28 ones because, like I said before, if you prepare with your course, out of the 58 questions that are now on the morning session, if you at least get 50, you are on good track for the second part. So something inside me said, you did good on the first part. You barely need some of the afternoon. For transportation, that's what I do. So I knew that there was a lot of theory in transportation, but for the ones that I had to solve, I knew that I had it right. So I was like a mixing and matching. I say, okay, I think that this is my time. I was stressed while the result came out, and obviously, but something inside me say that I I did a great job.
Wow, that's great. That's awesome. Yeah, a lot of my students that I feel like that's what usually happens. They would guess, on like 5 to maybe 8 questions in the morning and they feel pretty good about the morning session. And in the afternoon, they feel a little bit iffy because they don't have an afternoon course right now. And so, they try their best to study off of the resources out there. And then, they pass the FE exam. So like you said, like if you do get like 50, I feel like passing, but don't, if you guys who are listening, don't take this serious, like, like I'm not exactly sure how the scoring works. Nobody really knows how it works. It's based
No,
on like curve and like who the people take it
of
with
course.
you, and it's so many factors. But I feel like,
Yeah.
like anything above 70, you're at a good place. So if you get 50 in the morning, and if you get a couple questions in the afternoon, I feel like you're in a really good place to pass the FE exam. Yeah.
Yes, 70 for sure is really good. If you, I heard that it could be also 60, but like I said, it's just something that you heard. It's not nothing that is confirmed.
Yeah, I would recommend shooting for 70, so that way if you low
Yes,
score,
you are safe. You are on the safe.
you're in the
Yes.
safety. Don't go for like barely passing.
No, no.
Okay.
Doing the, like I said, preparing for the morning, and you will feel just confident enough to pass it with really good grade.
Yeah. Okay. And are there any topics that were easier than you expected?
Math and probability. Math
Oh,
and probability was something that when I saw them, it was C value, mean values. When I saw them, I said, okay, I saw it before. Okay, I did this problem. So that helped me, that boost me my confidence. So I say, okay, it could be this time.
that's great. What about statics? Sorry.
Statics is had two moments of inertia. It's not my strength. I did them.
Okay.
So, but like I said before, I did them. So it's not like it was my weakness. I did them. I don't know if I get it right, but I had the moment of inertia. I have trusses. I have one trust, but I think that, but I think what boosted me my confidence was the first two, and even ethics also. Math, probability, and ethics helped me a lot.
Awesome. That's great. Okay, now let's talk about your life after passing the FE. Did passing the FE impact your professional life?
Yes, definitely, definitely. I'm now talking about because of my company. My company is a small company, so now I'm talking about to have another position. Now I'm helping. Like I feel like I'm more confident to be the right hand of my boss. Like I say, okay, if that helped me a lot, even though it could nothing change, but inside of me say, okay, now I feel comfortable. Like I need to learn now this what I'm doing on the project. uh, so it helped me to have that now, that motivation to say, okay, now I've passed this exam. Just one step closer to my boss. He's a PE. So okay, I'm one step closer. Let's now learn what is technically the PE, one of the required for the PE learn. So yeah, it helped me. It boosts my confidence at work. Like now I want to learn.
Okay, and are you planning to take the PE?
Yes,
Okay, when are you gonna take it?
April.
Oh,
With
wow.
yes, super like right, like right now, like just straight to the PE because I have 3 friends that are taking it, so I want to take it with them. There was a little pressure that I had inside also that I wanted to be on the part of that group taking it on April. But yes, I have 3 friends taking it, so that motivated me passing the XP. And my friend also said, "No, just jump to the P." So
That's
yeah.
awesome. Great. Okay.
Mm.
Now, do you have any closing remarks for engineers who are trying to pass their FE exam?
Failing is something that once you sit on the exam, you have two options: failing or passing. And failing is okay. Failing is okay. It's nothing that you were a bad student or a good student at school. Doesn't reflect on who you are. And keep trying. Keep just moving forward. Reach out to talk. Reach out to friends to explain your problems if you don't have the resources. Outside the internet is always resources. Try to hear the experience. Don't listen like the experience that you hear something that you have to follow. Just experience that something that to take out the best. And always doubt of the experience. Like for example, if they say that it's too easy, it's never too easy. uh, if you fail it, I was ready for the 5th time if I had to, the 6th time. But something that I want to reflect is once you are an engineer, it doesn't reflect once you are signing and sealing projects how many times you failing. It's just your name and your number, and so just keep moving forward, and you will succeed. Hopefully my story helped everyone to pass.
Oh, thank you, Hector. It was really great talking to you, and thank you for sharing your experience with us today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So Hector shared some amazing tips with us in this interview, and I really hope you guys can implement some of these tips because it's really going to help you with your FE exam, whether you're using the FE Bytes course or if you're using some other courses or books. Taking a step back and trying to make connection between problems, that is the best way to learn the information and remember for your FE exam. And if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for new videos every week. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck with your studying, and I will see you soon. À la prochaine. Oh yeah, everybody now.